Shalom. Youth Aliyah is celebrating 90 years, Yemin 70. When Yemin was inaugurated in 1953, Sir Winston Churchill sent a message read by Lorna Wingate in the presence of David Ben-Gurion and Chief Rabbi Yitzchak Herzl that stated, "Future generations will remember General Wingate in the way that he would have wished it, in a village that is a home for displaced Jewish children and gathered from the corners of the earth." This has been our mission. I'm proud for the last 26 years, alongside Dr. Chaim Perry, that we have the responsibility and the privilege of changing around children's lives. We take them from a mindset of survival to leadership. We do this by connecting them to their past, to their heritage, to be proud of where they're coming from, to have them trust and build up strong relationships with us and the rest of the team. We do it through Tikkun Olam, by showing them that they can be a solution and not only a problem. We do this by Tikkun Halev, of mending their hearts. We do this by giving them a sense of belonging, creating a community of meaning for them, by having them understand that they're part of this line of Jewish history and that it's theirs. We help them to transform them to go beyond the boundaries of their own self-perception. And yet we've been hit. This horrific war has devastated us, and we're somewhat broken, all of us in Israel. A third of our staff in the village, including our current director, Boaz Schwartz, is now a tank commander up in the north. The staff that are not in the reserve duties are at home in the villages, shaken in fear of worrying about their husbands, about their brothers, about their sons, about their daughters. Strong people who are Zionistic, who believe, who are dedicating their lives to be with our kids. And yet, we have a small window of opportunity to help our kids heal. And as I say to our team, we have no choice. So we have to uplift ourselves and bring back the spirit and change the narrative. And we called up our own reserves. We called up our volunteers, girls from Shirut Lomi, others to come back to fill in the spaces. We've changed around the positions all over because we have no other choice but to be there for our kids. We have to be strong, we have to be resilient. Some of these kids, when you speak to them at night, say to us, "Susan, Avati, I've been through COVID, I've been through the Ukrainian war, I came over to Israel, and what's going on?" So what do you say? I say, "You have great stories to tell your grandchildren." What can I say? This is happening in Yemin, that we're being resilient, that we're strong. We know that our kids are the future. This is happening in the 4 villages in Youth Aliyah. It's happening in our Mechina, our pre-army leadership program. It's happening in over the almost 80 schools around Israel. 11 of them are in the south. We've had colleagues of ours, of staff, who have participated in multi-funerals a day. We've had staff whose children are now displaced all around the country. We have educators who themselves have lost people and getting up to be with kids the next day or after the Shiva. Oleg, some of you who've been in the village might have seen him. He came, most of our kids came as teenagers. He came when he was 5 from Belarus, an orphan. Was living on October 7th in Yemin because we have a home away from home. We believe that part of our methodology is that we have to be there for our graduates, that we are with you all the way. So he's there before he's going into university. He's been in a tough, one of the strongest fighting units, and he got called up. We didn't hear from him. A lot of the kids, they have their phones. They're not allowed to use their phones for weeks. And you sit there and you're waiting, and I get a phone call at 1:30 at night, and it's from Oleg, and he's worried. He's scared. He doesn't want to hurt innocent people. What do you say? I talked about that we can't forget the why, halama, that's what we say in Hebrew, and that we have no other choice. And he knows that, and he understands that. And then we talk about how he has to make a vow that when he gets through this, and when this is over, that he's going to make sure that he's going to have a happy, great, meaningful life. And finally, last Shabbat, he came to the village, and we put up signs, and all excited, and the welcome signs. He got off for 48 hours, a little less, and you should have seen him. The same scared, kid, graduate, no longer kid, goes to the new kids in the village, the new kids from Ethiopia, from all the other places, and he says to them, "Anaknu chazakim, we're strong, we're going to be victorious, we will win." And you see the small moments of the grace that you're seeing all over our country now, where you saw Racheli's husband, an Ethiopian family, the 4 kids running and greeting him when he came over to the house, and you see Solomon, who's never ironed in his life, ironing his uniform, Oleg's uniform. And you see a lot of love. Last week we just celebrated the Sigd, the Ethiopian Jewish holiday, because we're now in Shigrat Chirum. Shigrat Chirum is an emergency routine. So we're trying to give a routine back for our kids, and yet it's an emergency. So instead of celebrating at night, we do it in the morning because there's less missiles in the morning. And we started with moments of silence for Maro, a new kid who just came to the village. You have to realize it's the beginning of the year, so they're not even, we try to give them a sense of community. And one of the kids, Danny, just lost his brother from Ethiopia, Maro, in the war. We stood up in silence for Michael, one of our graduates who was a policeman in Ofakim. He wasn't on duty that day, but when he heard the shots going on in Ofakim, he ran out to protect the citizens there, and he was murdered. We had Daniela, one of our English teachers, who's married to an Brazilian graduate, whose brother was also a Brazilian graduate, this gorgeous kid, Hanani, who was at the party, one of the parties, and he was murdered. And she talked about that they weren't distinguished between religious and non-religious and the different backgrounds, and because we were Jewish. And yet every day we are so proud. This is a craziness of our lives now. We're in the sadness, and yet we're so proud of so many of our graduates. We're proud of Eliran and Oz, and they're running like a food thing, cooking every day for the soldiers down by Netivot. And I can tell you about so many others. And Shimon Salomon, who's an ambassador in Africa for the stating of Israel. And we're so worried, and we're proud. And we're talking to all of our graduates daily. We're making phone calls to all our graduates because we're with you all the day. And we're listening to the news, and we're hearing about the kids, graduates who had to clear the bodies from those kibbutzim that Richard Camp was talking about. And it's unbearable. And to share with you what we wake up earlier than usual, because in the morning is when you hear about the soldiers. And then you're looking in the news and looking for the pictures and the names, and then you get relief because it's not one of our graduates or not one of my children's kids. And then you feel guilty because you're, what the, this is someone else's kids, someone else's graduates. So it's a crazy reality. We have almost 800 graduates of ours who are in reserve duties from our Mechina, over another 800. I'm not talking about all the other villages, but they know the why. We are with you all the way. I say to the kids, we say to our graduates all the time that we're not alone, that we have incredible people, so many in this room that I'm not going to mention names because I wouldn't be able to. I forget too many of you, but you know it. And that we could not do this without you. And we're not alone, and we say that to the kids, and we say that you help us, not because they're miskenim or poor or miserable, but because they haven't had the privileges that others had, but they deserve it. They deserve better, and you know that, and that's why we're helping them, and they deserve to be in a safe haven. That hasn't happened. So we tell them how they need to be the best, and that we are bound together by people who believe in investing in education, the power to change, and we tell them that they have to be our future leaders to build a stronger, hopefully wiser, more united, safe Israel for all of us. Thank you for your support, which allows us to continue our crucial work.